Okay, so how I overcome my social anxiety, I'd say what age? It was from around about age 25 to 28. It took me to probably about age 29 to 30. So about age 29 to 30, might not be exactly the exact age, somewhere around there, right? I overcame my social anxiety, and in this video, I'm going to explain to you how I did it. Take you back to the beginning. How did I overcome it? The first place I started with overcoming my social anxiety, if memory serves me right, was going to the gyms, because I was always passionate about, martial arts, Bruce Lee, Van Damme, the Rocky films, like most kids, most guys from the 80s, and I grew up watching boxing with my dad, so I had a lot of energy, I still have as a kid, and I liked training, I liked hitting pads, I wanted to do sparring, I wanted to try and box and learn to fight, learn to self-defense, and I liked fitness, I loved all that. So for me, suffering with social anxiety and shyness and being awkward and nervous and insecure, that was like the first motivation to overcome this, because I knew if I wanted to go and do those things and go to a gym, I had to face the social anxiety. I was going to have to speak to people. I was going to have to put myself in these situations that made me feel insecure. So I did that to begin with. Now, it didn't get rid of it straight away. Excuse me. Maybe everyone's different, right? It didn't go straight away for me, as I said. It improved. I definitely got, what happened to me was I got braver. I remember hearing Jordan Peterson talk about this. He said, if you're going to help somebody to get over social phobia, you're not going to teach them and tell them to stop being scared, because you can't really do that. They're going to be scared to death. But what you can do is you can make them more courageous. You can equal the level of fear. You can outdo their phobia by building their confidence and their courage up. That's exactly what I teach people. This is what I did just to explain that. I love that point from Peterson, someone who I respect, who I can tell he tells the truth, he knows what he's talking about, he's been there, he's done it. So I started there, got some confidence. I still had it, I still had the anxiety problem, the social anxiety, but it was improving. As I got better there, then I was like, okay, I now feel more confident. I'm still scared and insecure, but I now feel a bit more brave to go out and start dating and try and find a girlfriend, go on dates. That was like another goal. And then I started doing that. That was really scary for me. That was probably a bit more scary going on dates than it was going to a gym. A lot more scary, actually. A lot more frightening for me. The fear of getting shy and nervous in front of a woman, and especially the fear of being turned down and not liked. So I did that, I spent some time doing that. Again, it didn't fully get rid of my social anxiety, but it really started improving, especially when I got a girlfriend. That was a huge part for me. I want to make a point of saying that. I think getting a relationship for a guy, if he hasn't got one and he wants one, really does help you to heal and improve and overcome your social anxiety. So maybe you want to make a note of that somewhere. We'll come back to that. So got to that point where I had a girlfriend. Still had it though, still had it in certain areas. And the next part for me was I always wanted to teach, do something creative, start a business, learn how to work for myself. So I actually started teaching other people. So I still had social anxiety, but I'd made a lot of progress up until this point, gained a lot of confidence, had a girlfriend, got myself into a really good shape. At a certain point, somewhere around the early 20s to late 20s. And then now I felt strong enough, and this is something I always did and I still do now, and I hope this helps a lot of you. I would dare, I know it sounds it's not crazy, but there would almost be like two of me. I would dare myself to go and face social situations that frightened me. So obviously there's one part of me that didn't want to do it, that was nervous, I never felt ready, I never felt confident enough, probably didn't feel quite good enough fundamentally. There was another part of me that would say, I dare you to do it, I dare you to do it. And then obviously I'll be arguing with another part to say that you're going to fail, you're not ready, it's going to be scary, I'm going to feel ashamed. And after a while of doing that process and seeing it working, I would always eventually go and do it. I would go and do what I needed to do. So the next part for me was starting a business, doing YouTube videos and doing public speaking and meeting new people from all around the world. So I was getting clients from all around the world. America, Europe, Germany, France, Asia, Africa, all around the world, London, outside of London. So that was always daunting, but what was thrilling was, the focus wasn't on me, the focus was on helping other people who also had anxiety, and they had it a lot worse than I had it in probably 99.9% of the cases. So I had the anxiety, the same as the people that I was helping, but they had it more than I did. So I was in a position where I could help them. I'd gotten further along with my ability to go into social situations and handle them and to communicate, express myself. So progressed in that level. When I got to the point of doing public speaking, that's when I could probably say that I confidently say that I overcome it. Like that was kind of like the end part. Obviously it didn't, there was more other things, but that was like the main bulk of it. If I can just backtrack, just to explain, so the first area I went, as I said, was down the gyms. I'd done the weightlifting gyms. I tried a little bit of kickboxing. I wasn't really great at that. Then I come onto boxing. I liked boxing. I stuck with weight training, bodybuilding for several years. Then I stuck with boxing for years, boxed as an amateur. I had one fight. And then, as I said, progressed on to dating, got a girlfriend, and then from getting a girlfriend, built a business up. And then from building a business, started working with people one-on-one, started working, doing group coaching. Then I started doing public presentations, talking in front of 10, 20, 30, 40 plus. And obviously, I'm not going to make this sound like it was not easy. I'm sure if you got it, there were times where it was hell and back. It was really frightening, like sleepless nights, panic attacks, anxiety attacks. Sorry to be a bit open, but it's the truth. Diarrhea from stress, lots of social situations where I got awkward, where I was, anxious, but I just kept pushing through it. And that's one of the best tips I could give everyone. If you just that's one of the tricks that I learned, if that's a good word for now. I didn't allow myself, once I got into a flow, once I started getting out and socializing, I didn't allow myself to go back to the way I used to be, which was someone that would avoid social situations for long periods of time. And because I knew from experience where I've gone wrong, if I did that, I was going to end up getting really scared again and then going all the way back to step one again, where I couldn't really go out and socialize and do things. So I knew I had to keep building momentum because it was going so well for me. It was challenging. It's like every time it went well, it would get more challenging. Then it would go well, then it would get challenging, then I'd have setbacks. Obviously, when I'm saying this is all according to how I judge myself. There was no one predominantly judging me or telling me I did good or bad, but I was judging myself on how I performed, how I spoke to people, how relaxed I was, how confident I was, how I could connect with people. Public speaking, I guess for me, there's no doubt about it, it was the most scariest one. Public speaking was definitely scarier than going on the first date. It was definitely scarier than going and training boxing and training, and it was the scariest because all the attention was on me, especially in front of a large group of 30, 40 people in a room. And that might not sound like that many people because there's always, you've got people that have done it in front of thousands, but for me, it's a lot of people when you're shy and you've got social anxiety. So to come from where I was to that point, it gives me great confidence when I make all these videos and share my story that anyone can do this according to what their goals. Obviously, you don't have to copy exactly how I done it because you might not want to do boxing. You might be in a different place, but you can take the principles, and it's kind of common sense what I done. I set goals. I set goals that motivated me and excited me beyond my fears, my concerns, and my fear about what other people would think and failure. And I failed my way to success. That's something that I learned from Les Brown, who really motivated me. For me, he's the best motivational speaker that's ever lived. And when I was learning this stuff and trying to figure out how to do this, his message helped me because he said in any area of life, wherever area you want to succeed in, you are going to fail. But if you stick at it, your failures will become your successes. Through the process of trial and error, facing your fears, changing your mindset, educating yourself, socializing, building relationships, you're going to have failures, you're going to have setbacks. But if you don't quit and you're determined, and he would always say if you're hungry, which I was so hungry to succeed, you'll get there. And that's exactly what happened to me. I got there. And then after the public talks, I started doing other things like going and doing interviews on other self-improvement, dating, coaching. You know, people invited me on their podcast shows. Some were over Zoom, a lot of them were in person. That was daunting, but after I did it several times, I just got used to it and got more confident. Then, of course, speaking in front of the camera, and then I did some videos where I'd be, doing coaching with a camera on, and now doing these videos. And then later on, there were some other areas I did traveling. That was a fear of mine. I traveled to several countries: Poland, Prague, Germany, many years before Spain, but I probably won't include that because that was really long ago. Went to restaurants, different hotels, different environments, swimming, just put myself in all different situations and just kept growing in confidence. And it was a long process, but I'm telling you, it was worth it, man, to be where I am. Now, to end this is what I want to share, right? This has helped me up until this point. Initially, most people with social anxiety, myself included to begin with, not anymore, have a real bad time accepting it, have a real bad relationship with it. Like, they judge themselves, they might even hate themselves, they feel ashamed, they're scared of sharing it with other people. I went through all this. But once you start facing it and you start getting the results, and when I say results, I mean two things. The confidence starts coming. You physically start to change around people. You act. You're just more outgoing. You're more self-assured. You can talk more. You're flowing more. And then the anxiety starts. You do feel it, but you can handle it better, or you might just feel it a little bit in waves. Once that happens, your mindset's changed forever. And that's when you're like, do you know what? This is kind of weird. This might not be logical. It might be illogical, but this is true. Through real experience, not through reading books. Something that I hated at the start, or I felt ashamed or embarrassed about, that was ruining my life, is transforming my life. Because every single time I use my anxiety to go forward in life and meet people and do public talks and face my fears and be more social and get out of my comfort zone, I just keep getting better and better and better. So you go from kind of seeing social anxiety as a curse to seeing it as a blessing. But obviously, you only get this realization if you face your fears. If you don't face fears and you just stay at home, I could say this to you a million times a day, it's not going to change how you feel. So this is something that I really realized, and this really helped me to really get past a lot of the bullying and the abuse and the trauma that I experienced as a kid, that I know all of you have been through. We all go through that, most of us do. It helped me to get past that. It helped me to forgive. It helped me to not be affected anymore, even emotionally. Like I said, I can talk about it. This is emotional because I've healed from this now, and I like sharing it. It makes me happy to share this with people. I don't really care what anybody thinks, because I have a good opinion of myself and my relationship with having social anxiety. So it's weird. It's weird how a fear can feel that it's a horrible thing and it's bringing you down, it's ruining your life, and it can flip on its head and be the very thing that's giving you happiness, giving you confidence. And of course, following up on what I said about results, when you get a girlfriend, or obviously for women a boyfriend, when you make more money, when you change people's lives, when you make friends, when you succeed in your business, or when you succeed in your sports or your physique, or you get on better with family, when these things start happening and people also around you that care about you compliment you and see the positive changes, it's just fantastic. It's all worth it. And now, although it's extremely painful for anyone who's had this anxiety and worked through it, it has been very painful at times. But I wouldn't change it, because I wouldn't have been doing what I'm doing now. I wouldn't have learned the things I've learned. I wouldn't have met the people that I've met, and I wouldn't have experienced, the positives and the negatives and the lessons that you learn. So it is really educational. For me personally, I can't speak for everyone. This whole experience that's been an ongoing thing for the last 15 or plus years, probably more than that off the top of my head, this has been way more educational and enlightening than any book that I've ever read, or any book that anybody's ever recommended me. Because books has its place, and I know a lot of people will disagree with me, but there was no book that was ever going to give me this insight or confidence other than going out and getting real experience and facing these situations head on and failing and falling over and getting back up and succeeding. And that's why I said, if I can do what I've done, and you know, I know it's again, it's kind of hard to quantify or explain, but I'm a normal person, very relatable, then I know anyone can do it. And I was such a frightened person when I started with this. I had such low confidence, I had such extreme anxiety, paranoia and self-doubt, but I eventually changed it through the process of facing it, taking action, talking to people. And I did it step by step. It wasn't like I just came out, went on dates, went down a boxing gym, started doing public. It was a lot slower than that. It was just like one step at a time. Probably every 6 months there'll be like a dramatic change in my confidence, and my anxiety were low. So that's how I did it, and also made a ton of YouTube videos. I got some mentorship at certain times. So for me, it's not that important I tell you the exact order in which I did it. The most important thing is I just tell you my story and just explain how I did it, and then you can take from whatever you feel inspired to take, even if it's just taking like one little bit of information from my life and applying it in your life and seeing the results that you get. So that's how I done it, and I continue to do it for me, because when you've got this, even when you overcome it, if you don't keep socializing, it comes back. That's been my experience. And when we went through the lockdown, which was that 2-3 years ago now, 2.5, my social anxiety came back again. I had to spend another like 6 months getting rid of it. But I just saw that as a positive challenge. I didn't let that get me down, because of what I've already experienced prior with overcoming it, succeeding, making a difference to so many people, all right? I hope you got a lot out of that. It was a privilege for me to share, and I'll see you next video. Fearless.